God is preparing you for a major breakthrough. This is Mekus with the Continence Club. I am back with another video. I hope you're feeling blessed today because your breakthrough is here. Your breakthrough is now. And you've always been blessed. In this presentation today, I'm going to provide you with a couple of signs for you to expect as you get to your desired situation. Because your desired situation is your breakthrough. And so I'm going to expose everything that you can be going through, what I've seen personally in my life right before the breakthrough, so that you can know that what you desire is around the corner, because it is. As long as you set that intention, you're going to get it. And as long as you work towards it, it's going to happen. And so I'm going to start off this video by explaining the signs that you are going to expect and experience. And the first one is that your current situation will continuously stop you and keep you stuck. And, this is a breakthrough, believe it or not, because this is one of those things where in your current situation, all of those vices or whatever it is that's keeping you here, believe it or not, I say it in my videos, and it's that everything is happening for your benefit. Because yes, it doesn't really sound like a sign for a breakthrough that your current situation is currently stopping you and keeping you stuck. But whenever you change your perspective and how you look at it, you'll understand that, part of getting to your desired situation and getting that breakthrough that God is trying to provide to you, it all comes from you acknowledging the fact that your current situation is happening for your benefit and that you can learn from it and grow from it. Because a lot of times, and I'm going to explain it as I go into the further signs, it's that a lot of these things going on in your current situation that you don't like are really setting you up. They're really a test, as you bridge the gap over to your desired situation. So your breakthrough is already here, believe it or not. That's why I say work from the end, work from your desired situation, because whenever you do that, you've already insinuated that you have what it is that you want, right? And you're getting there. And along the way, you're going to be tested to see if you're really worthy of it. So your breakthrough technically is already here. You just have to allow it to happen. And so another sign is that your current situation just gets harder and harder. It gets to a point where it's like a bubble. You feel like everything is about to pop and crash. But a lot of times, that is really that turning point for you. When things really start to get tough. And you want to know why I know this? I know this is from my personal life. There's times when I was at my absolute lowest, and I used that to really bounce back and to really bring myself out. And it really molded and shaped my character into somebody who was worthy of what it is that I ended up getting, the success. And the same applies to successful people. Haven't you realized successful people always talk about that current situation that they were in, whenever they were at their lowest point, and then they were able to, use that as a means to bridge the gap over to their desired situation? So you're literally part of that group. You're literally part of the same experience. And once you acknowledge your current situation, like I said, and you realize it's a mechanism to get over to your desired situation, especially as things get harder in your life, it really gives you hope. Right. So I want to give you hope today and let you understand that, yes, I understand that things might be getting hard for you. Times might be getting hard. Right. Your needs might not be met at this current moment, but you have to stay diligent, because you can't continue to focus on that or you're going to stay stuck at where you're at. Right. It's all about changing your focus and attention, your mindset, living from the end and staying consistent with it. So keep staying true to yourself. As your current situation might seem to get a little bit tighter for you, trust me, every situation is temporary. And so another sign, the third sign that God is preparing you for a major breakthrough, is that the gap clarity will give you signs, right? So this gap here, as I talk about the process from going from your current situation to desired situation, having clarity here, like I said, molding your perspective, right? As you continue to move through this gap, is one of the signs, right? The clarity as in knowing what you're going to do, but not exactly obviously, but working towards it. Once you really understand this, you're more and more worthy of your breakthrough, because you know who you're supposed to be. Who you're supposed to become internally. And so that's something that a lot of people don't know, and is why they're stuck in their current situation. But you're different because you're starting to understand, how to work this gap, right, over to your desired situation. And clarity is everything. That's why I ask you in multiple videos, what do you want? Because whenever you know what you want, you're getting closer to the breakthrough because you have a sense of purpose. You have a sense of direction, right? So that's a huge sign that your breakthrough is near because you have gap clarity. You know who you want to become and you're working towards it. And so the fourth sign that God's preparing you for a major breakthrough, it's that God's going to allow for tests, during your gap period, right? So as you segue over to your desired situation, you might get hit with those bills, right? You might get hit and get lost and lose that job. You might get hit in different areas. You might lose your relationship. You might lose something, right? And it might feel like, man, I'm digressing. I'm moving away from my desired situation, when in actuality, it's out with the old and in with the new, right? Something had to be given up for something better to be replaced. So yeah, you might have lost your job. You might have lost some money. You might have lost a partner. But as long as you keep the right mindset, you never know what God is going to replace and return. And you have to expect for bigger and better things to be coming your way. And you'll be surprised on how things like that really do happen. Things better than what you've been dealing with come, and you never really expected it to happen, but you changed your mindset and it really worked in your favor. And so the fifth sign that God is preparing you for a major breakthrough is that you're going to have to wait for your desired situation on God's timing, right? You might not feel like it's happening fast enough. You might feel like, where's my desired situation? What is going on today, right? But in actuality, perfect timing, you will never know exactly when things are going to happen for you. You just have to let it happen. Let it play out. Understand that, okay, we know that you change your perspective on your current situation. We know that, you have gap clarity and you're working this gap, right? So don't be too obsessed about the outcome. Just let it happen. Just know it's going to come, because whenever you start to get impatient, you start to block your blessings. That's why whenever you chase things, they seem to be repelling you. You just have to let things come to you and let them be attracted to you, right? So it applies to this fifth sign. Whenever you show God that you're ready on his timing and you work towards what it is that you want, you'll be surprised it could come a lot sooner rather than later. But whenever you're really obsessed and really wondering, where is it? Why isn't it not mine yet? Is going to be repelled. And so the sixth sign of that your breakthrough is here is that you feel your desired situation actually becoming more natural to you, making it a reality. So man, I'm really here. I'm really at the top of that mountain. And it's a feeling state. Matter of fact, it's a knowing state. Right. And whenever you get to the point where it is that you're knowing that you have what it is that you want, yeah, it's really going to materialize in your physical reality. So these are 6 signs I wanted to provide to you today in this presentation as it applies to your breakthrough. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the current situation and your desired situation, right, as it applies to breakthroughs. So, starting from the top, your current situation, obviously it's not where you want to be. Like I said, you might have lost your health, your wealth, your relationships, whatever it may be, which is why you want to make a change in the first place. And as I described with the signs here, many times the perspective you have about your current situation is what's keeping you here. And your breakthrough is already happening, but you hardly have awareness on the signs that are right in front of you. And as you can see, these, and you see how they correlate over to the signs that I provided you today, your current situation. So this is kind of a bit of a summary as well as it applies to these signs. So I made sure to, make that to distinguish too. And so, the truth is that only a few people take the necessary steps to realize their current situation and leave it once and for all. That's people like you. That's why you're watching this video. That's why you really try to apply yourself in life while nobody in your city is, while nobody in your friend group is because not everybody can do this. Not everybody can see the signs that I'm providing to you today. Nobody can really understand their situations, right? And understand that things are really happening for their benefit, but they don't see it that way. And this is why they're stuck. But you, on the other hand, are different. And that's why you're already going to be a successful person watching this video, especially if you're watching it up to this point. I really want to give you a round of applause because you're really taking this information in your life seriously. And I'm with you. I'm by your side. I know it's not everybody around us that really want to take necessary steps to get to that next level, to get to that desired situation. So talking about our desired situations, right? In your desired situation, this version of you here they're aware of the breakthrough signs because they have self-awareness. You have self-awareness, and you're starting to really understand that you're getting closer and closer every day to the desired situation because of your perspective. So, you also know the version of you in your desired situation knows that if your mind can go there, you can physically get there. I literally talk about it in my videos. If you can see it in your mind, it exists. If you can't see in your mind, it obviously doesn't exist. Like a new color on the color spectrum. If I asked you right now to think of a new color, would you be able to do it? Absolutely not, because it doesn't exist. So, it's not easy, right? But you remain consistent and surpass your obstacles. That's why you're in your desired situation. And I mentioned that as well, on these signs for your breakthrough. You surpass those tests in the gap, right? That God is giving you, right? And so your mindset and attitude is what sets you apart from the rest, and is why you realize your desired situation. That's why I have no doubt that you're going to get what it is that you want, because you're just different. Your mental attitude is starting to change, right? You're starting to think a lot better, like this guy down here, right? This is shocking news, right? Depending on how you see it. You're really different from a lot of people, and a lot of people really don't understand these signs. They don't understand that their breakthrough is closer than they think. And so I want to leave you with this, and it's that you cannot escape from the prison if you do not know that you're in one. Let me say that again. You cannot escape from the prison if you don't know that you're in one. A lot of people don't understand that this is a mental battle that we're in. This is a spiritual battle that we're in. And once you control your mind, right, you're going to understand that you've been boxing yourself in for so long. Right. And so this is why many people stay in their current situation. They box themselves in. They're not really thinking outside of the box. They're not really understanding, that they have more potential. Right. And so I want to also add that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Let me say that again. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Right. So just because you set that intention and you're working towards that breakthrough and you don't see it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like, you just have to give it time. And I mentioned that in my signs for the breakthrough, that you're going to have to wait for your desired situation on God's timing. Don't get me wrong. Things can definitely happen for you overnight. Things could happen to you in another month, another week, right? Maybe even a couple of days, right? It's all unique to me and you. And our cases are different. And so it's literally a case by case situation. So success doesn't necessarily come one step at a time, right? It's gradual progress, but like I said, it's unique to us. And in some cases in your life, you can take a quantum leap in multiple levels to achieve your desired situation. Like I said, things can definitely happen to you sooner than you think. So instead of staying content and feeling safe with gradual improvements, you can shoot towards a breakthrough, right? Because whenever you have the self-awareness and understand this information, and it's your subconscious takes it in, then, you really opened up the door for a quantum leap. You really opened up the door for a breakthrough that happens sooner than you think, because you have a knowing of this information. You've grasped it already, right? And you're working diligently from your desired situation. So overall, this breakthrough, right, that I've talked to you about today, your desired situation, is going to be the result of your mental attitude and knowing that you have your desire, right? It's all about your mental attitude. How can you expect for that breakthrough if you're still thinking about your current situation, if you're still thinking about what you lost, what somebody did to you in the past, right? And what these external forces who really have no control over you are doing to you? How do you expect to have that breakthrough, right? To trust in God's timing if your mind is on the negative. So it's all about shifting your perspective on to the positive and getting away from the negative. So bridge that gap today with this information about your breakthrough, apply it, and you'll be surprised what happens in your life and how God blesses you. This is Mekus with the Continence Club. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you on the other side, and until next time.